All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be jumping right into this. Nintendo is a garbage company. And no, I don't mean their video games. I know there's going to be people that twist my words, right? I'm not talking about their exclusive IPs. I'm talking about the morals and ethics that surround this company and the lack of passion that they actually have for the community that supports them, all right? This latest story was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. They've been exposing themselves over the past 2 weeks, but this latest story that occurred over the past 24 hours, I just honestly needed to make a video on it. If you do enjoy this type of content, I do have to remind you, drop a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you want to know when I upload another YouTube video, and hell, even comment down below what you think about this entire situation, because this video will get out there to more people, and I think more people need to understand what's actually going on with this company, alright? Let's jump into this. So, Nintendo, they own a bunch of exclusive IPs. They own the whole Mario IP, or Mario. I know there's going to be people in the comments, oh, you said Mario weird. No, I'm going to say it whatever other way I say it. That's that, all right? Basically, they own the whole Mario IP. They own Mario Kart, Super Smash, Mario Party, Mario 3D. All those games are owned by Nintendo exclusively, right? So no other third party or other publisher can, take ideas from the game. There's a bunch of legalities surrounding it. They can't make a knockoff Mario. Like, that's just how it is. That's how the legal system works, right? Well, about 15, 16 days ago, there was this esports tournament that was supposed to go on. And due to the fact that we're living in a pandemic, people can't actually go to an event or an enclosed area to compete in this tournament. And this tournament was specifically for Smash Melee, one of the most popular esports games because there's players and characters with definitive movements, not random animations. If you guys know what I'm talking about, sports games, they have random animations. They're terrible, right? But in terms of actual legitimate esports competition, Smash Melee is definitely one of them. And people are really good at that game. It encompasses some exclusive, Nintendo characters, Link, Zelda, Mario, Luigi, Bowser. There's a bunch of characters that are owned by Nintendo's IP, and they create Smash video games. The latest one is Smash Ultimate for some of my younger viewers out there. Well, Smash Melee was, I think, a Nintendo 64 product, so this game's been out for like over 20 years. Pretty crazy, I know, and it's still one of the most, esports intensive games to date. So like I said, there was supposed to be a tournament, and due to the pandemic, people couldn't actually compete in this tournament because of the fact that we're living in a pandemic and there are just, laws surrounding it, and just people aren't comfortable in enclosed areas. Totally understandable. Well, there was going to be this third-party software that was going to allow you to play Smash Melee, but the issue was that there was going to be some type of emulator to actually emulate the Super Smash Melee game. And that's where, I was kind of like, okay, I get why Nintendo did it. Was it totally ethical? Not really, but legally they're within their means. So Nintendo basically did a cease and desist on the third-party software that was going to emulate Smash Melee, and the tournament couldn't happen. And then a hashtag called Free Smash Melee or Free Melee, I can't remember what it was, but it was #1 trending on Twitter at one point. People were just so pissed off at Nintendo because they did a cease and desist over a over 20-year-old game, and people couldn't attend a tournament. And at the end of the day, like, this game is pretty old. Like, you could probably get it for a few bucks on like Amazon or, I don't know, eBay. Like, it's a pretty old game, and there's a bunch of emulators online where you're able to play it. But because this was going to be broadcasted as a tournament, I do understand why Nintendo did the cease and desist, but was it good for the community? No, right? So a lot of people were pissed off at Nintendo because of this. They were just very annoyed at the way Nintendo handled the whole situation, and it definitely left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So I wasn't going to make a video on this specific subject, but within a 2-week span, they did another cease and desist, and for a way more, I want to say, unethical and immoral reason, right? Still within the same legal means as the whole other situation that I just mentioned, but this one just rubbed me the wrong way, man. So basically, if you guys don't know, I actually made a video on this when I was really trying to be more consistent on this channel, but if you guys don't know, there was this YouTube content creator known as Etika. He was also a Twitch streamer, and he also, was a huge Nintendo fan. Like, he was one of the people that hyped up like no-name Nintendo games that were exclusive to the Nintendo IP. That's how much this guy was dedicated to the company. Even though he really wasn't like sponsored by them, at least from my personal research, I haven't been able to dig up anything where he was like in direct lineage with a partnership with Nintendo. This guy just had a passion for gaming, and unfortunately, due to mental illness, this guy did something tragically that ended his life. And it's definitely still just, an uneasy situation to talk about because it was a mixture of his own mental health and then, the whole YouTube, keeping up with YouTube content mental health, which I can somewhat relate to. And then, at the end of the day, there were a bunch of other YouTube news sources calling this guy crazy for, doing what he was doing. And it was just a very unhealthy environment for this particular person to live in. And unfortunately, something tragic happened to him where he is not with us anymore, right? So as time has gone on, I expected Nintendo to do something, to kind of boost the morale or do something involving Etika's name, but nothing ever panned out. And I was like, all right, well, maybe they don't want to be associated with the tragic event, so I still get it. But there's other third-party companies out there, other companies that are doing reskins, like actual Joy-Con reskins, with, an inspiration of Etika, right? So there was a bunch of these third-party, companies creating these skins, but they specifically were going to have all the proceeds and profits going towards mental health awareness, right? So there's like a bunch of different ways to donate to that. And these companies, the money that they were going to make off these Joy-Con reskins was going to go specifically to those organizations for donations, right? It was a nonprofit basically making these third-party Joy-Con skins for the fact of, the passing of Etika and also for mental health awareness. I thought it was a great thing. So Nintendo did another cease and desist on these companies that were creating Joy-Con reskins. Now, I believe the actual legality surrounding the cease and desist was the fact that these companies were using Joy-Con in their product name, which I think is pretty ridiculous when you think about it, because there's a reskin for almost anything you want. I mean, you don't see Apple doing cease and desist on iPhone, cases, right? So the fact that Nintendo did this to a company that was doing reskins with the inspiration of Etika, not even using like Nintendo specific IP characters, this just pissed me off, right? So Nintendo basically did this cease and desist, and these companies are not able to make Joy-Con reskins anymore, especially with Etika in the whole product inspiration creation line. So not only is Nintendo not like helping the community with the whole tournament situation, but it almost seems like they're not in efforts or trying to, help project that ideology of supporting mental health awareness because they're doing this cease and desist. The whole thing about this entire situation is that in the past 2 weeks, we've seen Nintendo do two things, but they've had a history of not supporting the community, whether it's, putting strikes on YouTube channels that were creating content surrounding these video games. That's actually a dying thing that's not happening anymore, and Nintendo's letting people create content around the games that they, have as their own exclusive IP. But basically, back in the day, if you wanted to actually have Mario Kart on your YouTube channel, you had to give Nintendo a source of your profits or a percentage of your earnings, which I didn't think was right at all. And now, they've kind of eased up on that. But then these two recent cease and desists, I'm not feeling too good about Nintendo, guys. So at the end of the day, they did the whole cease and desist on the third-party application. I was going to let that slide and, not even make a video on it. But the fact that, they did a cease and desist over a company, a nonprofit, mind you, that was making Joy-Con reskins in an effort to give money towards mental health awareness, it just didn't sit right with me. I was very annoyed at the situation, and I wanted to just simply put it out there. Now, it was this hashtag in the past 24 hours that did hit #1 trending, which I believe was in a combination of the keyword Etika, but also like free Joy-Con or Joy-Con Bros for Life. And that was one of Etika's catchphrases that he had for his YouTube channel. So just a very sad and unfortunate situation. I hope that Nintendo maybe can like retract this and kind of work with the companies to maybe make this an actual thing. So, the money could go towards mental health. But at the end of the day, like, this was just a knee-jerk reaction, and I just don't really agree with Nintendo in this specific situation at all. I get the whole third-party application cease and desist because it's emulating a game that they created, but this is a Joy-Con reskin, like, you know what I mean? So I hope you all did enjoy this video. Even though, you know, it's not a great situation, I still wanted to bring it to light and give you guys some more awareness on this whole situation because not a lot of people talk about it. And Nintendo has had a pretty bad track record with supporting their community and the people that honestly projected their company to be where it is today. So drop a like, subscribe, hit bell notifications so you know when I upload another YouTube video. Comment down below what you think about this entire situation. I'm not in agreement with Nintendo here. I think they did a pretty crappy, shitty move. And it just, honestly, like I said before, probably a million times in this video, just didn't sit right with me, rubbed me the wrong way. I'm Cryptix. Gonna try and, you know, not play Nintendo games, at least for the time being. And signing off.